On today's show, Dave and we're going to get into this discussion that's been happening around Leafs Nation. I saw it being tossed out in the Discord, on Twitter. It's been brought up on a couple of articles that have been written by some journalists. It's the Matthews doomsday clock. Do we believe in the doomsday clock, and just how much of a kick in the pants would this put on the Maple Leafs to try and win next season? We'll go through that, get our comments and discussion on that one. And then also, well, to touch on what's been going on in round two of the Stanley Cup playoffs, we've had a couple of decent games. The Battle of Alberta was wild in game one. We're going to have to go through that. And the Cats down 0-2, but they are the comeback Cats. But can they come back in a series? Guess we'll have to find out. But let's get into it on today's edition of Locked On Leafs.
You're Locked On Maple Leafs, your daily podcast on the Toronto Maple Leafs. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome to the Locked On Leafs podcast, one-stop shop for all things Leafs. I'm your host, Mike DiStefano from TSN 1050 Toronto Radio, also known as Al's brother on TSN's Overdrive and TSN 1050's Leafs Lunch. With me, it's my co-host, Dave Morassutti from Sportsnet, also a writer for the NHLPA. Locked On Leafs is a daily Maple Leaf-centric podcast, so be sure to subscribe for free wherever you get your podcasts from if you haven't already. And just a reminder, we are here all the way through the off season, all the way through the rest of the playoffs. Still getting that content every Monday to Friday. So just because the Leafs are done, we're not. And today we're going to talk a little bit more about, the hockey in general, playoff hockey. We'll get into the Battle of Alberta, the Battle of Florida. But before we do, Dave, I want to get into this discussion about the Matthews doomsday clock, because I'm sure you've heard this phrase been thrown out over the last couple of days. It was thrown out during the press conference with Sheldon Keefe or I don't think it was Keefe, actually. I think it was with Shanahan and Dubas, and whether or not they believe in this doomsday clock. So flat out, I guess the first question, let's just get to it. Do you believe in this doomsday clock on Auston Matthews? 2 years left on the contract. What are your thoughts here?
No, I don't believe it. Like, here's the thing. What's really the doomsday? Is it that the Leafs haven't won anything and that's the doomsday clock? If Auston Matthews goes somewhere else, he's pretty much starting from scratch in some places, because not many teams will be able to afford to pay him the high end salary, right? This is something that, we've heard many times, that, because the big stars are taking so much of the cap, it's in a way inhibited how much the Leafs can put together a roster that can truly contend. So if Auston Matthews then ultimately decides it's not in Toronto, where is it? Right? Where is he, where is he really going to go that he's going to be able to find that success right away? Because he might be able to find another team, but that other team might not be anywhere closer than the Leafs are right now to winning.
Well, that, and you brought up a good point. I mean, also, what are the teams going to have $13 million in cap space to go out and get this guy? I mean, I guess you could find a way to do it, just like the Vegas Golden Knights found a way to get Jack Campbell, under contract when they were up against the books. So I suppose you'll find a way, but there's not many teams who are going to be able to do that deal, especially if you're already a contender and you've already kind of have your core in place. That said, Matthews is this guy could be the best player in the NHL, right? Whether McDavid, Matthews, those guys, top three players, you would probably move heaven and earth if you had an opportunity to get this guy on your team. That said, but I don't understand why people think that this guy would want to leave with unfinished business. I get the sense that Matthews is the type of guy who probably he wants to win here. I really do get that sense. Although he's upset and he's mad that this team hasn't been able to win. I mean, at the end of the day, he would be a god if he could get it done in Toronto. And thinking about the marketability of Auston Matthews since coming to Toronto, the hockey mecca of the universe. I mean, I would understand if it was in, let's say, Carolina, right, where, okay, it's not a great hockey city, or Winnipeg. It's not a big market. It's a small market. You're in Toronto. So, the marketability, the chance to be on, every single magazine cover, you're on GQ covers, like you'll just get marketed so much better as a Toronto Maple Leaf than you would if you're in a smaller town. So there's that whole aspect when it comes to the money. But like I truly believe that he wants to win here. I think he does. And I think the group obviously wants to also win with this guy. But in terms of a doomsday clock, like if they don't get it done within the next 2 years, which is ideally what this is, like they have a 2 year window, or else it may not, he may not like the ticking time bomb goes boom, he leaves, it's over. I don't think that's the case. I think Auston Matthews, at the end of the day, I believe that they'll find a way to get this guy re-signed and he'll return to Toronto and they'll continue to be competitive for years. I don't think that there's a 2 year window with this team. I really don't.
Yeah, like I know some people have brought. I mean, even some people I know have brought up. Well, would he want to maybe go to a market like L.A. or New York, which in relative will really boost his personal profile. But that's the thing, right? We're not talking about the personal aspect of Auston Matthews' life. That's not what the media has been constantly talking about. They're talking about winning, right? Really, yeah, there are other markets right now that have been a lot more successful than Toronto, but it's never a guarantee that when you move from one team, one situation to another and thinking, I'm in a better place. Look at what happened with Jack Eichel. He wanted to get out of Buffalo so bad. He goes to Vegas, which everyone thought was going to be a great fit for him. They're a team that's primed for a run. Where's Jack Eichel right now? Where are the Vegas Golden Knights, right?
Not
There's
always greener. Not
it's
always greener on the other side.
exactly. That's kind of my point there, right? Is that you don't know how good you have something until it's gone and you want it back, right? I think Auston Matthews, like first off, I haven't heard anything concrete that would suggest he'd want to leave. I like this is just clearly also just putting the some of the media members putting the screws to Kyle Dubas a little bit here, and knowing that
Could be.
you got a bit of a clock right now. You got a bit of a time. You got a bit of a shelf life as a GM because we know ever since Kyle Dubas was brought in, sections of the media have been trying to put the idea of is this his time or is he done or is he like it's like this is just going to continue that cycle. It's good that the Leafs aren't entertaining this idea, but they also have to find a way to not make this a story a year from now when Auston Matthews is in his final year of his contract and there's going to be the constant talk about what's
Oh,
going to happen.
it's going to happen, man. Like that guy. So he's able to sign a deal next July 1st, July 1, 2023. He will be eligible to sign an extension. If an extension is not signed on that day, the entire discussion on this show, on every show in the city of Toronto, will be about whether or not Auston Matthews is truly bought into the city. Does he actually want to come back? If not, they should have had a deal already ready to go, tucked in away in a drawer somewhere so that on July 1, that thing gets signed, sealed, delivered, and we don't have to talk about it. So that conversation is going to happen no matter what. But like, I wonder if, and you bring up the point of this maybe media just trying to kind of light a fire under his ass in a way, if maybe this is a ploy by just to get some urgency, to get some change, because that's what a lot of people want, right? Like a lot of media members and fans, they want to see some sort of change, and they're kind of looking and saying, if you don't make any, and Matthews leaves and you didn't do anything to change this core, change the philosophy of this team, and he ups and leaves, like you've completely wasted this guy's prime and the team's best chances at winning a Stanley Cup in decades. I think that's ultimately, it's more so maybe the media maybe trying to get some urgency out of Kyle Dubas to make a move here, which, hey man, I could totally see working, to be honest with you, if that is the case, because I think we've talked about it a little bit. I think we both believe that maybe a change. William Nylander comes up quite a bit right now as a guy who potentially could be on his way out. But at the end of the day, if this team doesn't get out of the first round next season or the season after, do you think he leaves? Like, I don't think it's gonna matter. Like if they win, if they lose, I really don't know if like the playoff success or lack thereof is gonna determine whether or not Matthews wants to re-sign in Toronto going forward. I really don't think that it matters.
Like we've seen it. I mean, here's the thing. I've seen it on a different team with Connor McDavid. How many times have we heard Oilers were disappointing? We wonder if Connor McDavid asks out. It's never happened. But the difference with Connor McDavid right now,
Well, he's on an 8-year deal.
yeah, he's on an 8-year deal. That's the first difference. The second difference is Connor McDavid has really taken the Oilers on his back at times. Like, look at these playoffs. When the Oilers were, I mean, we're going to talk about them a little later, but when the Oilers were looking really bad in that game one, like, I mean, they were bad, but they were looking even worse. It was Connor McDavid that gave them
Yeah.
any sort of life, right?
Yeah.
Right. So, I mean, Austin, this is not to say Auston Matthews isn't trying or anything like that, but when you look at really this whole situation here, it's not like Auston Matthews has been left on an island and nobody else is helping him. He's on the same island as every other player in this core. He's not on his own in all of this. So, like, why isn't the same thing being said about Mitch Marner? Why isn't the same thing being said about William Nylander? It's Auston Matthews because he's not from here.
Mm.
I think that is something that's not being talked about enough. It's that some people in the media here question a player like Auston Matthews because he's not from the traditional hockey market as well.
And I don't think Auston Matthews, I could be wrong, but if I were Auston Matthews and I were one of the best players in the world, I would not want to go play at a university hockey rink in front of like 200 fans. So I'm not worried about Arizona. I am not worried about Arizona at all. That is not the team that he's not going to go home. That's not what I am not worried about this guy going home. Not at all. Maybe at some point down the road, but in the next 2 years, no, they're still going to be at Arizona State. Think they're there for what, 3 years while they get
3 or 4
ready,
years.
3 or 4 years. Like, there's no chance this guy's gonna be like, yeah, sure, I'll go to Arizona State. Like, no chance this guy does that as a legitimate superstar in the NHL. So, I'm not worried about him going home at the end of the day. Not one bit. All right, why don't we take a quick break? When we get back into it, maybe we can continue this discussion. Let's go over what he's done. Let's go over what he did this season, because there were actually a lot of accomplishments that Auston Matthews was able to do this year, broke some records for this team. And let's give him an overall grade on the year 2021, 2022. And we can kind of close the book on the Auston Matthews season after that. And then, next week, I think we'll start looking forward and start looking at some of the UFAs, what we want to do and whatnot, some of the other alternative options out there. So we'll do that all going forward, but let's get to the Matthews thing. And then a little bit later on, we got to talk about this Battle of Alberta, because that was an unbelievable game. So we'll get to that shortly. But first, Dave, why don't you tell the good listeners here of the podcast about today's show sponsor?
All right. We're going to talk about our good friends over at Built Bar. I love brownies. But you know what I love more? Brownie batter. Yes, I'm one of those people that will get caught sticking my spoon in the brownie batter, get a little taste of it before it goes in the oven. Sometimes, I mean, look, I don't eat half the batter. I know I've heard of people who eat half. I'm not one of those people. But imagine that instead of licking the brownie spatula and being judged for it, why don't you get some protein with it and eat a nice Built Bar that is now flavored like the brownie batter. I don't know how they pulled it off. Honestly, I don't know how, but they've done it. So you haven't tried Bill's Puffs yet. I don't know what you're waiting for. They are covered in 100% real chocolate. They are made out of marshmallows. They're the first ever protein infused marshmallow. They're deliciously flavored, and they come with, and especially this new flavor, 140 calories, 17 grams of protein, and 7 grams of sugar. That might even be better than that brownie batter you're licking out of the spatula. That's all. Just gonna put that out there. And right now with Built Bar, you can take advantage of a great offer and get 15% off your order if you use the promo code LOCKED15 at their website. So that is promo code LOCKED15 to get yourself 50% off at built.com and getting yourself a beautiful Built Bar with 100% real chocolate and even greater taste.
Welcome back into the Locked On Leafs podcast. I'm Mike DiStefano, Dave Morassutti with me. If this is your first time listening to the show, appreciate it. Hopefully you enjoy the conversation that Dave and I are having. And if you do, go ahead, smash that like button on the video, subscribe as well, and let us know if you believe in this doomsday clock that is being perpetuated out there on Auston Matthews. If the team doesn't have success in the next 2 years, is he gone? Is he walking away into the sunset? Dave and I don't think so necessarily. What do you guys think? Go ahead, let us know in the comment section below, or hit us up on Twitter at Locked On Leafs on Twitter, or myself at Mick_Canuck, or Dave at D_Morassutti. Also the Discord. I don't think we haven't
Got to
plugged
put
it.
that link back in there.
Yeah, we haven't plugged in a couple of episodes, but man, the Discord is popping off right now. The last couple of days about kind of what happened during locker cleanout, and what's going to happen with the goaltending situation. It's running rampant in there. A bunch of armchair GMs. It's a lot of fun. I'm having a blast inside that Discord. So we're going to put it in the show notes down below, or on the podcast app. Make sure that you go and you can check it out, and you can join the community as well. It's a lot of fun. All right, Dave, let's get into the season that was for Auston Matthews, because it was a pretty fantastic year, possibly the greatest season ever by a Toronto Maple Leaf. Surpassed the record set by Rick Vaive many years ago. Now the most goals in franchise history in a season at 60 goals. The first man to hit 60 in over a decade. Ended the season for the first time in his career over 100 points, 106-point season in 73 games, which is wild, and third in the NHL in points per 60 behind just McDavid and Kucherov, who missed quite a bit of time and finished second in the league, but third in the NHL in points per 60, number one in even strength goals at 44 even strength goals, which is 8 more than the next, which was Kyle Connor. The guy was an absolute phenom, almost 350 shots this season, which was the number one shooter, and had a 17% shooting percentage, which also a career high. So a fantastic year from one Auston Matthews. Also led the NHL in takeaways. That's pretty impressive for the guy who lead the NHL in takeaways and goals. Man, you are definitely going to get yourself up into the conversation as the best in the world, which ultimately we've had that conversation. We think that he's in there. Honestly, I believe that he's going to win the MVP, the Hart Trophy.
Yeah.
I think there's a chance that he could win the Ted Lindsay Award, because it is a regular season award, not a playoff award. And ultimately, I think if I had to grade out Auston Matthews' season as a whole, I got to give the guy an A. And the only reason why he doesn't get an A plus is because just the playoff success didn't come. Outside of that, near perfect season for one AM34.
Yeah, no, I'm giving him I'm in pretty much the same ballpark as you. I think if you're not even going to if people are still not in the line of giving him best player in the NHL, I will tell you this, I don't think there is a better player at 5-on-5 than Auston Matthews. 5-on-5, so if we're taking away special teams, at 5-on-5, there is not a player that's more productive than Auston Matthews right now.
Auston Matthews at 5-on-5. I can go through his numbers right now for you. I do have them pulled up here. Led the NHL 38 goals at 5-on-5 through 73 games at that. Not even a full 82 game season. You have to go way down to find Leon Draisaitl, who had 26 of his goals were scored at 5-on-5. So a lot of those goals that Leon scored, power play. So you're talking about goal scoring at 5-on-5. No one does it better than Auston Matthews. Since he's come into the league, no one has scored more goals at 5-on-5. We look at points in general. Auston Matthews is up there near the top of the league in points at 5-on-5 with 66, second to only Johnny Gaudreau. So he's, like you said, the production is absolutely there. And then you go ahead and you talk about the takeaways, and the strides that he's taken in his game defensively certainly puts him up into that stratosphere, up there with Connor McDavid as like a 1A, 1B conversation.
Yeah, like, and that's the disappointing part with everything that's going on with the Leafs right now, because the one thing I've always heard from certain people is that the Leafs have had decent teams, but they've never had a team with the greatest player in the league on it.
No.
They've never had that, right? I mean, you have to go back to, like, the original 6 days to even. I mean, even then, I don't even think the
Even
Leafs had
then, you think about all the teams that were all the guys were in Montreal. They probably had first, second, third, fourth best player in the league.
exactly, right.
Not
And Gordie Howe was,
oh,
he was the Wayne Gretzky of that time. So that's
well,
this is the
Maurice
part.
Richard. I mean, Guy
John
Lafleur, like
Peniso.
right. So like all those guys. So like I clearly I don't think that the Maple Leafs are even close to having the best player in the league. I guess the guy who'd be most recent would have been Sundin, who arguably a top 10 guy, maybe.
Yeah, but never the most dominant player in the game in my.
No, and not even close. Not even close. Doug Gilmour, who holds the record for points in a season by a Maple Leaf, they get what 126, 120,
127.
127. That's a lot of points. That's great. He did that in the 90s, but he's that was the same year, I think. Didn't Gretzky put up like 100 and like 80 points or something like he was fifth in league scoring that year.
Like, Doug Gilmour was going up against guys like Mario Lemieux, who had like 160 points in 60 games.
Yeah, like it was disgusting. So, yeah, we're honestly so blessed, I guess, is the word that I'll
Leafs
use here.
are like, if Leafs fans. I know that there's been a lot of disappointment with what's happened
Yeah.
the last few years, but I will take what has happened the last 5 years versus what had happened from 2005 till 2016. Okay,
Yeah, I mean, that's fair, obviously. Yeah, like Auston Matthews changed the entire course of this franchise,
he did.
right? Like night one, put up 4 goals, and you're like, okay, I think we got something here, ladies and gentlemen. And he's done nothing but score goals since. He just racked up his second Rocket Richard trophy in a row. The guy's unbelievable, and yeah, extremely lucky, I guess. Leaf fans get to watch him perform on a daily and nightly basis. He's still super young, and he's improving each and every year. Is there still maybe another layer that he can, like another level he could get to? Perhaps, maybe there is, and maybe we'll see that next year. One more year of defeat. Is that all it took for him to finally, get pissed off and go Super Saiyan mode next season? Perhaps the way that we're seeing happen with Connor McDavid right now in the playoffs. Perhaps I hope so for Leaf's sake. I really do hope so for next season. But ultimately, the guy is such a talent, and Leaf fans are so lucky to have him. I feel lucky to be able to cover him and watch him on a daily basis. It truly is a treat. And yeah, one of the best players in the world, if not the one of the top two best players in the world.
I think next year is going to be even more like he's had such a great season in the regular season. I think he will definitely still feel the sting of not getting it done in the playoffs. We saw how he took that loss to Montreal and channeled into the greatest regular season in Leafs history. I want to see how he channels this loss going into next season.
Yeah, yeah, I hope so. I really do. If he's got to find that killer instinct, right? That's, I guess, the next level to unlock is finding that killer instinct and figuring out a way to put a team away when they have them on the ropes, right? They did that. They had Montreal on the ropes 2 years ago, and they had Tampa on the ropes this year, and they failed to give them the knockout punch, the knockout blow, little rope-a-dope action by those guys, and all of a sudden it's Sonny Liston and the Maple Leafs hitting the canvas, and it's nighty night. They're out, and that's where we sit here as we watch Tampa Bay go up against the Florida Panthers, and on the other side, we're gonna get into the Battle of Florida. We're gonna get into the Battle of Alberta. And if you are interested in making some wagers on those games, you could do that. You can do that for sure. And you can do that at betonline.net. Our partners at BetOnline continue to be the number one source for all your betting needs and sports info. Find all the latest odds, news, and sport developments, including this year's basketball playoffs, the NHL playoffs, Major League Baseball scores, fights, and even next season's NFL futures. Head to the website today or use your mobile device to learn more about the trends in action. Bet online, it's where the game starts. Welcome back into the Locked On Leafs podcast. I'm Mike DiStefano, Dave Morassutti with me. We're your hosts here at Locked On Leafs. Dave, you've been enjoying the second round of the playoffs despite it being Maple Leafless.
Oh yeah, I mean I say probably the two state series. So we have the Florida series.
Let's power rank them.
Yeah,
Power rank them 1 through 4 in your interest level of each series. Go ahead. You go
I mean
first.
Battle of Alberta because we haven't seen this in 31 years, so that was always going to be number one for me. Number two was definitely the Florida one, just because I want to see how Tampa respond after the Leaf series and whether Florida, did they get away with one in the first round against Washington? Then it has to be Rangers and the Hurricanes, just because there's so much intrigue with both teams, especially the Hurricanes, who have been knocking on the door for so many years and hadn't gone that as far as they would like. And then like Blues Avalanche, I'm like, yeah, there's the Ryan O'Reilly factor. There's Colorado trying to, continue to be dominant. But yeah, that series has the least amount of intrigue, in my opinion.
That's interesting because I have them at number 2 on my list, actually, the Colorado St. Louis series, because I think that those are two great teams. I've got a futures placed on both of those clubs, to be quite honest with you. Hedge my bet a little bit. I think whoever comes out of that one could end up going on to the Stanley Cup final. But that one is number 2. The Battle of Alberta is number 1. And game 1 did not disappoint. We'll get to it in a sec. And then the third one, probably the Battle of Florida, I would say, with Tampa and the Florida Panthers, and then I got Rangers and Carolina Hurricanes in fourth, I guess you could say. But let's get to the Battle of Alberta, because clearly that's number 1 on ours, probably number 1 on a lot of listeners to this podcast and to hockey in general. Anytime you get a massive rivalry like that, you're always going to be excited to kind of tune into it. So 9-6 was the final in game number 1, Dave. 9-6. We were recording the podcast as the game was going on. I had it on kind of in the back here, and I turned over, and it was 2-0 in the first minute. I was like, I missed puck drop, and I turned away, and it was already 2-0. It was insane, the game. And then ultimately, 6-2, and I'm thinking, okay, Carolina or Calgary, they've got this one. 6-2, second period, probably good to go. And then it was Zach Hyman, former Maple Leaf, love the man, makes it 6-3, and then 6-4. And I'm like, this is a game, ladies and gentlemen. We all of a sudden have a game here. Draisaitl scores. They get another one in the third. 6-6 was as close as they would get. And then Calgary went and got a couple more goals and made it 9-6 was the final. Tkachuk with a hat trick. But Connor McDavid, 4-point night in the loss. What a game. What a game.
I was working too that night, and I felt so sorry for my friends over at our digital video department who had to get the highlight of every single goal, and they're just like, there's more goals being scored than we can just keep track of. Like,
That was what, a 4 or 5 minute stat pack or video pack, probably a highlight pack.
probably just the first two periods. Like,
Right?
like it was ridiculous, and there was so much. An underrated part of that night was the Matthew Tkachuk chirp on Evander Kane. I don't know if you saw it, where he just like, "Do you need some money?" And I'm just like, that is a low blow of low blows. And yeah, and he does the little. The Kachucks have been the best storyline of this this week, with Brady just enjoying the Calgary. I mean, the Senators fans.
I don't understand it. Honestly, I don't know why anybody would be upset with him.
Don't be upset
get
with
it
that.
at all.
You embrace your star player. Just he's bringing entertainment and excitement to the NHL. I love it. The picture of him.
Like, let's say, who's got a brother in the NHL that the Maple Alex Nylander, if he was any good, which unfortunately doesn't seem like he's a very good prospect. But if he were to have been like a star for, let's say, the I'll pick a team, St. Louis Blues. I would want Willie over there. I'd be excited if I saw Willie over there cheering on his brother Alex Nylander,
Yeah,
in the playoffs. I would be excited for that. So I don't know why some Senators
it's
fans are a little
it's the
touchy.
guy's brother. Like, if he's not
Yeah,
there, it'd be a bit of
rooting for Calgary per se. He's rooting for his brother Matthew. Like, there's nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that.
it's like, yeah, like I don't know. I think it's been one of the better stories of the playoffs so far, just because it's bringing some entertainment on top of such a crazy game.
Well, how about the dad refusing to toss his hat when his son gets the hat trick? Big Walt's like, I don't think so. This is a special hat. There's no way this is getting tossed out there. How about that?
Man, that's a tough one there. Like, you know what? There are some hats I would not throw, but it's also your son's first career playoff hat trick. It
I would imagine that if he did toss the hat, he probably could have found out a way to get it back.
yeah. I'm
Like,
I'm pretty sure he could get a hold of the Flames people and be like, "Yo, can I get that hat back?"
yeah, like I tossed it, by the way, but let's make sure that it ends up back on my head by the end of the night. Right, exactly. But yeah, it was just such a fun game. But what I think is also like Connor McDavid showed again that you can win or you're never out of a game with that guy. Never out of a game. Like it was 3-0 5 minutes in. Connor McDavid makes a play, goes, scores, and all of a sudden you're back into it. Right. And then he ends up with making a nice play on the Draisaitl goal. And then the 6-6 goal, he drives to the net, creates a rebound, and the game's all tied up. At the end of the day, he finished with 4 points, led the team with 5 hits, and also had 5 shots on net. Like, that's a type of elevation that I was referring to a couple of episodes ago and what I wanted Auston Matthews to do. And then remember when everyone said, dude, they're playing the LA Kings. What do you expect? Well, now they're playing the Calgary Flames, who are, statistically speaking, one of the best, if not the best, defensive team in the NHL, and he's picking them apart. I know they didn't play particularly well last night, but I think a big part of that is it's so tough to shut down Connor McDavid. No matter if you're, a really good team or you're a mediocre team or a team that just limped into the playoffs, it doesn't matter. That guy's going to pick you apart. So for those who are sitting there and saying, yeah, Connor McDavid, of course, he elevated his game, got to the second round. They were playing the Kings. Yeah, well, now they're playing the Flames, and he's still going out there and putting up a 4-point performance. So, what do you got to say now, ladies and gents? What do you got to say now?
This series and the it's like that's the first game. Like, I think it's only going to get better from here, right? I
You
mean, I
think they
don't
got a
know.
shot? You think they got a shot though? I don't know. Like if you watching the game, Calgary just completely destroyed them, but Markstrom just I don't know what the hell was going on with him last night, but he couldn't stop a beach ball either. But the shots were like
Oh,
40 something to like 50, I think. They ended up with 50 shots on net to like 20. Like they literally doubled them in shots. And if you look at like the high danger chances and the slot shots, Calgary like doubled them in that as well. So
I don't think the Oilers really have much of a chance. The only way is if Connor McDavid just, acts like Connor McDavid and gets himself back in, like just
yeah,
like he's done damage against the Flames in the past. He was a tough. The Flames always had a tough time with him, but I just think, yeah, the Flames had arguably the worst performance from Jakob Markstrom I have ever seen, and they still won the game. And if you're Edmonton, you're just like, we wasted a big opportunity there.
I am going to send you actually really quickly the tweet. It's a
Uh-oh.
tweet that we can play for the audio. I meant to send it to you earlier, but I'll send it to you right now. And it was the post game of
I think I know which one. Daryl Sutter.
Daryl Sutter's post game, and
He
just
was
the
fantastic.
greatest comment of all. So I watched the entire post game, right? Like I did, and 3 4 word answers for the most part, and then he finally gives like a decent answer right at the end, and it was glorious. I'm trying to find it here. Hold on. It was literally like the last question. Like they were pretty much going to end the press conference, and then like any last questions, and someone's like, "Oh, hey, is that any different? I really want to find it. Why can't I find this? It was on this person's video, and now it's no. Maybe he took it off Twitter. Maybe you can find it for me."
Which do you know? Let's see. Trying to find the video. There's always the ones about the boring. How this was going to be a boring series.
That's the one. That's the one. We were told that the last one was a boring series. Yeah, that's the one I'm looking for.
Okay, I think I got it right here. Yep, I got it right here. Alrighty. So for the good folks over on YouTube, I'm just pulling up the video. For those of you listening on audio, you will hear Daryl Sutter in his glory right here. All right. Take it away, Daryl.
Just how jarring is it to go from a series where Jake Ottinger is stopping pretty much everything to a game where it feels like both sides are kind of scoring at will?
Yeah, well, we were told that it was a boring series last time, so I told the players yesterday we got to score 7 to 10 goals today, knowing full well that they'd probably score 5 to 8 if we had, and then we could win. So that's what we did.
The best. Sometimes that dry humor can be tough, but no.
No, that guy knocks it out of the park every single day. The one day someone said like, "Oh, how you feeling today?" And he's like, "It's spring. It's birds are chirping. There was, something in behind the ducks, quacking in the lake behind my house." And it was just such a Sutter-esque comment. But no, that was just so funny. So I seriously enjoy those guys' press conferences. Quickly though, comment on the Battle of Florida, which Tampa took a 2-0 series lead there over the Panthers. Can they get back into it, you think, Dave? I mean, you dropped 2 at home. Now you got to go to Amalie Arena. I don't know.
I don't know. The Lightning, first off, taking 2 in a row against Lightning, forget it. The Leafs have tried that. Didn't really work out for them. But, man, I feel sorry for Armando at the Locked On Panthers podcast because they were so excited about this run, and it's just like the Panthers went all in this year. I don't know if people realize this. They traded a lot of first-round picks.
And prospects.
Yeah. You look at what next season looks for them, not very good. It also, if you're a Leafs fan, this hurts. This hurts because you were 1 win away from getting into the second round, going up against a Panthers team that can't score on the power play. Like,
I know.
It hurts, man. But you know what? The better team is winning this series. That's all I'm going to say about that one.
Yeah, I agree with you. Although, the game 2 ending with 3 seconds left on the clock, Ross Colton break 1-1 stalemate.
I saw that. You know what? It was funny because somebody was at work was just like, "Oh, we're getting ready for OT." I said, "Maybe," and then literally like 10 seconds later, Kucherov back in the net. You see Colton coming up, and I'm just like, "Oh, there it is," and it's in.
Did you hear the play-by-play call for that goal by chance?
Which one, the American or the Canadian one?
The American one, the Tampa, Dave Mishkin, Tampa radio call. I just sent it to you. Right, why don't we play that one? Because it was pretty fantastic. Dave Mishkin's great. He's a terrific play-by-play guy. And when Ross Colton scored with 3 seconds left in a tie game in game 2, this was the call.
Ruda, back for Kucherov, right circle. He is checked. Held in Pilato, right point. Find that Kucherov, 5 to go. Kucherov, put it in front! Score! Score! Ross Colton with 0.9 seconds left! Incredible! 2-1 Lightning! Kucherov magic!
And what a shot by Colton. Quick release.
Andrew Burnett, I didn't see his face there, but oh my God.
Dude,
Serious.
you're 3 seconds away from taking them to overtime, and you allow a chance like that. Like, no one gets Colton going into the inner slot like that. Oh my god. And now you're down 0-2. I think I saw, is game 3 and 4 back to back, Dave? I thought I was told that game 3 and 4 is Sunday and Monday instead of Saturday and
Oh,
Monday.
Sunday game 3 is Sunday at 1:30. Game 4 is Monday at 7.
Yeah. So it's a back to back for whatever reason. I do not
What
know.
is going on with, like, is there something going on at the Lightning Arena that they couldn't get the date?
I don't know, is Michael Bublé playing in Tampa too? Is he coming in and screwing things up for Tampa's second round as well? Tampa's like,
I'm
hey,
actually
Bublé came and they messed up round 1 and we won the series. Have them mess up us at Amalie Arena as well and mess with the Florida Panthers. And we can win that series too. Maybe.
I'm not seeing anything here. This is just the NHL clearly trying to get the Lightning to the second round a lot quicker.
It's really bizarre. Really bizarre. Just the one game on the Saturday. Blues and Avs, which we're currently watching right now. I think St. Louis is up 1-0 there in that one.
Jordan Kyrou, stud.
Yeah, that guy is a stud. That guy is a stud. 2-0 now, actually, at the end of 2-0 for the Blues heading into the third period. All right, I think we'll wrap things up right now, David. Fun shows. Good to it wasn't all doom and gloom like the last couple of days. It's been a little doom and gloom, but we got to talk. We finally got to talk hockey again when we brought up the Battle of Alberta, the Battle of Florida, and whatnot. That felt okay.
Felt okay. Still hurts.
It still hurts. It's still fresh. It's painful. Next week, though, we'll get back into a bunch more Maple Leaf talk. We got to go through these UFAs, see kind of who we want to sign, who we don't want to sign. You know, we kind of talked a little bit about what to do with Jack Campbell, but maybe we can talk. Are there some other moves that could be made by this team? Kind of our off-season wish list, perhaps. We could go through next week, talk about some prospects who could make their way into the Maple Leafs and all that and more. We got tons and tons of time to dissect it all, David. But let's leave today's conversation there. That'll do it for us here today on the podcast. I'd like to thank you all for listening and supporting the show. You can subscribe to the Locked On Leafs podcast on all podcasts and platforms. Also now through video on YouTube. You can receive that daily Leafs content. Follow myself on Twitter at Mickey_Canuck. Follow Dave at D_Morassutti. And follow the show at Locked On Leafs. All right, we'll be back with another episode on Monday, ladies and gentlemen. Enjoy, maybe Tuesday. Monday's a holiday, actually. I forgot, it's May 2-4 weekend.
My birthday weekend.
There you go, Dave. Happy birthday. You got any plans, pal? Besides cutting grass and doing your Italian duty?
Oh, no, I got a garage door I got to paint, man.
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to try to, but no, I'm going to go and enjoy. It's been some very nice weather in Toronto. Things are opening up. I'm going to go and enjoy some nice, some nice ambiance of what Toronto can offer.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I don't get to watch the Leafs in the playoffs. Thank you for that gift.
Yeah, well, I'm the one who had to take a Game 6 and Game 7 loss sandwiched with my birthday being the sandwich meat of those L's. So I know exactly how that feels, Palio. All right, that'll do it for us today. We'll chat again on probably Tuesday, actually. It'll probably be a Tuesday show that we'll get back with you. But enjoy the long weekend. Enjoy all the hockey. We'll get back to some more Leafs content next week. But until then, keep it locked right here on Locked On Leafs.